Powder and Wolf.
And it is time to get serious here for GuMiho and Maru in the second game. We have a 1-0 lead for the Terran player starting at the bottom right. Winning on Antigua.
FXO GuMiho
Pulled ahead. And now is one win away from reaching the winner's game that we are going to see later on. But his opponent, Maru, is going to try to tie the series and force a third game. To the top right, we have our, well, still a newcomer, the 14-year-old Prime player.
Maru Prime.
Yep. This is really good positions for Banshees. In these locations, it's a little bit, you know, closer by air than other positions, and you have the ability to not run in all directions though, because this map, for example, if you try to harass your opponent's main mineral line, if you go to the left you can escape, but if you go to the top to try to harass, that's where there's going to be a lot of units, so you could get trapped easily. So it's harder to harass the main, but easier to harass the natural, I guess you could say. But either way, the distance is shorter. Neither player taking gas yet again, so we're going to see one Rax expands, which is not what I expected to see on this map. But because of the secondary ramp on both this map and the last one, it's quite a popular strategy. We see a faster scout from Maru this time, so he may be able to scout what his opponent is doing. He may be able to scout no gases. It all depends on the depot block timing of GuMiho.
No scout at this point for GuMiho. And one of the things, we mentioned over and over again that Maru is so young, but what is really scary about him, in my opinion, is I still remember a time in Warcraft 3 when I was casting a 13-year-old player that was able to compete with the pros, and back then he played human and he was called Stefano. And we always said, like, this guy is already so good, and it will be interesting to see how good he's going to be when he's 18, when he's 20. And now he just reached that age and he is dominating the European StarCraft II scene, is able to take games of Koreans everywhere in the world, competing in America, in Europe, wherever you want. And it's going to be so interesting to see if Maru is going to reach the same level, if he's actually able to maybe even overcome those limits. I really want him to stick with the StarCraft II, to just stay with the game, and then we might see one of the best players coming up, given a little bit of time.
You're exactly right, and he has said in interviews, as I mentioned earlier, that he really wants to commit to this. He wants this to be his long-term goal, his career. He does not want to give up and abandon the game. Now, GuMiho was not able to scout his opponent. This is going to be his first glimpse. He's going to see the bunker, which will let him know that his opponent's taking a command, so he'll have no idea that he has double gassed in his main. GuMiho has done the same, and again, Maru gets his gases a little bit earlier, but interesting to note is that GuMiho makes a second barracks, which is something that Maru has not done. And with the second barracks, it means he may be going into Marine Tank rather than going into mech play. And on a map like this, Marine Tank can be good because there's a wide open space in the middle. You can use your Marines to kind of control that area, depending on how you use them. There's not a lot of choke points on this map where you can get caught. But it's hard to say if that's what he's really going to do. No factory as of yet. A tech lab going down, though, very likely for Stim, because if he doesn't have Stim, then he won't be able to deal with any Banshee harass that he will face.
With a faster refinery for Maru, we now have him already with the factory nearly done, and we see a delayed Reaper here for GuMiho, so he will be able to get some scouting information while hopping into the main base. I really like this at this point. While we have the starport coming up for Maru, he really makes good use of his early gas, and we'll see if he's able to capitalize on it. While we have now double gas at the low ground as well. This is a very early third and fourth.
Yep, he's doing basically the exact same build he did last game. Now GuMiho with the Reaper will try to scout his opponent's meching. It'll be very difficult for him to do so, but if he comes around from the left side, he might be able to jump in there. He is getting that Stim I mentioned, so important. Without Stim, cannot defend against Banshees. It's basically like a Reaper expand, but just in a different order, where you got the Command Center earlier than the Reaper delayed. And with the Engineering Bay, he'll be able to help deal with possible Banshees as well, but also more importantly going to get that faster +1. Now he scouts the expansion here, but he wants to get into the main base. If he shoots here, get a mule.
Nice.
Kind of a risky choice, but he's going to get into the main regardless.
Was really well done,
Banshee
though.
production.
He kills the mule that actually has the most energy. Was just called down. So very good for him. And he scouts the main base as well. Might even be able to take down another unit. Nope. The siege tank. Making sure of that.
He does scout the Banshee production. That is oh so important. It could be a Raven, but it's likely going to be a Banshee. And as a result, he sends Marines to intercept immediately. With Stim almost finished, he should be able to catch it no matter what, as long as it goes down that path, which in these positions, it would be crazy for it not to. So he's just going to wait there for a trap. That's really cool. I like that. No turrets either. He's actually so confident in his Marines and his Stim that he just does not feel like wasting any money on turrets right now.
The third base coming up for Maru, who has the first tank and the first Banshee. The Banshee is heading out and headed right towards the Marines. Will he be able to spot it? Oh no!
Doesn't even have to Stim. Nice by GuMiho.
Brilliant play here. He spots the starport, he knows what's happening, he immediately sends out his Marines and catches the Banshee off guard. In the last second, Maru realizes what's happening, but it's already too late. He loses the Banshee, and therefore the pressure that he tried to apply.
Double armory's going down from Maru yet again. So he is literally doing the exact same build as last time. The only difference this time is that he went Banshee before Raven, something that you skipped last game. The Raven, by the way, is now out for GuMiho as well. So you've got Ravens, or actually, I take it back. That was the wrong production.
Yeah, it's out.
That's embarrassing.
It's out for Maru at this point.
Yeah, he's actually switched with the reactor. He's not producing any Raven because he knows his opponent's not getting cloaked. Viking production has started. Maru looks to be getting a faster third command, so that's another thing that's different in this game than the last one. And that was kind of one of the reasons why he got behind last game. So if he can really pull this off, he'll be in great shape. There are the double upgrades going, spinning now. Medevacs are out for his opponent. Remember, he does have Stim. He's got +1 on these Marines. These Marines are going to be very deadly if they can close the distance between these siege tanks.
At this point, we have a third base also coming up for GuMiho. Maru already done with his orbital command tech at the third, so he can use the third mule now. We have a little bit of scouting going on for GuMiho. He really needs those informations exactly, especially when it comes down to the third base. If you play with mech, then you need a ton of gas, so getting a 5th and a 6th refinery is really important, but at this point, Maru did not use his third orbital command just yet. And Blue Flame is coming up, so he's getting all the upgrades that he did the last time. He's once again researching the plating upgrade as well. But here comes the drop play for GuMiho, trying to apply pressure and take down the economy.
Yeah, he's going to do a lot of damage here. He's committed a lot to this drop. Completely ignoring his opponent's siege tank positioning. The Hellions do not have blue flames, so they're not that comfortable fighting here.
Oh,
he has some Vikings.
He takes down both of these refineries. The fight's not over yet, but he did already a ton of damage. Is he able to retreat here? He's losing another Viking, but so important to just kill these 2 refineries. I just mentioned how important it is as a mech player that you have the gas income. Gas is what limits you the most, so taking down the 2 refineries is so important, so smart by GuMiho.
GuMiho needs to hit his depots a little bit better. Now you can see he added a ton of depots to the supply. His money was stacking up really high. In fact, both players' money is getting really high here, but the problem for Maru is his money would be lower if he could only spend it. He just doesn't have the gas to support it. He's now making a ton of Hellions to try to spend that money. But you're right, losing those refineries is so crucial, and he doesn't feel comfortable taking a third base just yet because of the pressure his opponent's applying. He doesn't have the tank count just yet to really support this. Now, a second eBay being added for GuMiho as well as his armory, so he can start getting more and more upgrades for his Marines as he continues this Marine tank composition. He needs that third base.
Another problem that Maru has at this point, because of the gas that he's lacking, it's not only about the production of additional units, but he can't get the additional upgrades now that he finished +1/+1.
That's another thing to note. I like the Viking bodyguards here for GuMiho to make sure his medevac stays alive. He's actually going for a really big drop here, but it will be thwarted. Can't take out the medevac though with this many Vikings. In fact, he may force a land. Yeah, he forces a land on those Vikings. Nicely done.
And once again dropping a few of these Marines just to be annoying, doing a great job losing them to the Blue Flame Aliens though.
Yep. Just a lot of
And this is exactly what we talked about earlier, this high-low ground situations where he can just make sure that he is kind of abusing exactly. Oh, he's dropping the 2 additional medevacs now onto
Oh, he's going to stim in as well. I did not expect this type of timing attack, but he is just going to hit it. He does get repelled though.
But did you see how close this was? All 3 tanks are down to the red. If he would have killed these tanks, then suddenly there would have been no tank defense anymore for Maru. Very, very close engagement here, and he should, yes he is repairing the siege tanks, and so he should.
Here comes a Blue Flame Hellion drop. He's going to give his opponent a taste of his own medicine. He'll also scout that GuMiho is going double factory over here. That is pretty important to know as well. He's going to clean up these Marines, no problem. And now the SCVs are in trouble. GuMiho coming back as fast as he can.
Oh, but he's already a bit too late. He's losing a ton of them here.
Could have been worse if he did not react immediately. 11 workers killed in total. That kind of evens the deficit there. Because, or 13 workers killed, of course. I said it backwards there, but the deficit is basically even for how many workers are killed. But consider that Maru is just now landing mules as third base, just now getting it saturated. He's lost a lot of mining time, but he's ahead in supply because he's getting those heavier supply units out rather than Marines. He's getting his tank count. It's up to 9 now against no tanks, but like we saw earlier, his opponent is transitioning from this bio play into tanks with double factories.
And I think we have another job coming down to the left side of the map. He sends some units over there, should be a medevac. And we also have now the third base established for Maru. So Maru with another attempt to drop into the exact same position that he did with the last job. Let's see if this is going to be successful. Dropship is at the bottom of the map right now, trying to circumvent all the scouting utilities that GuMiho could use, so trying to circumvent the Xanaga watchtower as well as potential buildings. And there's actually, I think, one Viking into the bottom left scouting for units, but he did not spot the dropship, and now the dropship is about to enter the expansion. We don't have it on screen, guys. I don't think that Legend just caught on to it. Now here we go.
Yep, here he goes, dropping Hellions in a second time. We have a little bit of role reversal in this game. GuMiho losing a few more SCVs here, but he will repel the drop. The damage has been done. Look at the supply, 194 to 164, and the composition advantage definitely goes to Maru here, but with all of the factory production that has been added for GuMiho, if he wins any fights in the middle, he'll be able to catch up in tank count really quickly. And with this type of map, if GuMiho can avoid this army and run by, he'll be in great shape, but avoiding this army is going to be so difficult, especially considering Maru. Look at how many Hellions he has. Like, oh my god.
There's a ton of Hellions.
Oh
we have both
god.
of them nearly at the same upgrades. And here we go. The tank battle commences. The tanks siege up. The Hellions in position. +2/+2 for the bio army of GuMiho.
So
and
important.
Also the +2 upgrade nearly done for our Mech Terran Maru.
He can't retreat without taking damage, and he can't run or flank or escape his opponent's eyes. He's trapped him here. He's trapped this bio army with a slow mech army. He's actually just going to ignore it now and run into the natural. GuMiho has to make a choice here. Will he try to do a counterattack? Oh man, Maru so smart positionally here, getting +3 for his weapons and a huge drop for GuMiho. This is what he needs, but his opponent has units to defend. Oh, he's rushing down the siege tanks. If he loses all these siege tanks, he won't have any left.
Oh my god, every single one of them died, and now he can just get into the base with all these Hellions, but the drop's going on in the main base, at the third base of Maru, that is.
It gets cleaned up really easily, though. He's got so many tanks back at home, and Maru now has his opponent trapped. He's picking off medevacs of the Vikings. The positional battle here for Maru is won. He actually now can control his opponent's movement so easily. His Hellion count is still out of control.
GuMiho is trying to expand again. He has a fourth now, and this is exactly the target of Maru's next attack. He's trying to flank in from the left, and this is what he does. Attacks with siege tanks and Hellions, forces the lift. A really intense game that we're seeing
this is
here.
a huge risk by GuMiho, but it's something he needs to do now. This drop is going to do a lot of damage. He's delaying it, though.
He misses time.
He's losing so much time. He's losing a lot of units right now. And the drop is actually still not commencing. He's now sending it.
But at this point, he's already losing a ton of units.
But his defense here is actually decent. He's not losing as many.
Killed all the Hellions.
Yeah, he killed all the Hellions. His siege tank count is getting better. His opponent does not have any units left at home. This drop is going to be fairly devastating. All those tanks right there are all the tanks he has left.
And now he's just trying to defend against this. The production buildings are being attacked by GuMiho, who takes down the add-ons as well. And their tanks, they are not enough. One is sieged up in the back, but that's all that he has right now. The supply is dropping for both of them. 127 for Maru and 130 for GuMiho. And this drop is doing so much damage.
Yeah, he's really gotten ahead in supply now. More tanks popping out. He should be able to defend this, but the damage has been done, and it's continuing to be done here. As far as positioning goes, though, Maru getting some free hits off over here.
And Maru has to use his scans. He doesn't have any Vikings with his tanks at the bottom right. So right now he has to scan and scan over and over again, as GuMiho is still in possession of a few Vikings to grant him vision.
Yep, and these Marauders are more heavily upgraded than the tanks now. At least temporarily, the tanks are about to have +3/3, which is so rare to see in this matchup, but it does happen every now and then. The supply now in GuMiho's lead. I'd really like to see the tank count, because that is what's going to be so important here. The Marauders, okay, so tank count 14-3, still very heavily in Maru's favor, but with 12 Marauders and 15 Marines out, if he can catch the tanks unsieged or outposition his opponent or do another drop, he'll be in great shape. I love those extra orbitals because he lost so many SCVs during that fight, but he can just use the mules instead. This is so good for him. Look at his gas as well. He has more gas than he can spend. His limiting factor is going to be minerals right now. Nice lift. That was a second too late and that would have been dead.
Really disappointing for these tanks. They were already looking forward to obliterating the commands and then like, oh man, really?
Yeah. Oh, look at this. He's actually going to put a tank on the high ground above that expansion. I really like that. It means it won't be able to mine, at least not until he sends units over there. And really weird, GuMiho is actually, he's moving out with his bio, but meanwhile Maru is sending his tanks all the way on the left side of the map. Another drop, or actually those are just those 2 Marines from earlier.
Yep.
He's sending his tanks all the way around the middle because he didn't know who had the watchtower. I really like this. He sends his tanks because if he had gotten caught with his tanks by the bio, he would have lost the game. And he's so smart to run around like this.
GuMiho is playing this. Oh, I love this scan. I love this scan by Maru that he actually scans ahead because he realized that his opponent is on the move. And GuMiho, he just had to assume that his opponent was going to the left side of the map and he tried to intercept these tanks. Very well done, but the defense by Maru and the scan, just this map awareness is really great.
The map awareness is absolutely great. He tries to catch him on siege, but he sieges up in time. The Hellions need to be careful here. He does end up losing 1 or 2 of them there. The tank is still doing damage over here, though. He's gotten 8 kills. Nicely done, but the SCV count is high enough to GuMiho for it not to really matter that significantly, but still does force some of the units back. And the production here, you can see he's lost so many of his add-ons, he cannot keep up with his tank production as well as he would have, but he still has a lead here in upgrades and in the tank count with 3 upgrades on his tanks. Even with Marauders that catch them on siege, the level 3 armor is going to be so helpful.
We have the 4th base now up for Maru as well, and he definitely needs this. His opponent is already on 4 bases for quite a while now, even though Maru was able with this 1 siege tank at the bottom to take down a few of the workers of GuMiho. It was not enough to shut down the better economy of the FXO player. We have 190 supply against 164 now, and GuMiho, he is just relentless. He's starting a new job while we have the first sensor tower in this game. Really important, but I would really love to take him to take another sensor tower to the right so that he could spot this drop play earlier.
Yep, he has no idea about this one. He's actually missed it with his floating barracks as well. So many Hellions, though, heavily upgraded, will take them out.
They do so much damage. A ton of Blue Flame Hellions. The Vikings at least able to snipe the Medivacs.
The sensor tower coming in handy here. He's going to have to get back ASAP, but there's a lot of tanks here already. If he tries to engage us, I think it might be a mistake.
Well, he's a ton of units here, but he's able to kill most of the tanks. The rest is sieging up in the back, but still, this is really, really weird.
That was a fairly even trade there because there was some hesitation in Maru's siege up. Now, this
GuMiho
drop
is exploiting this.
Yeah, his drop is now undefended though, and with just this many Hellions in the tank, I don't think he can defend against this many Marauders.
And once again, the refinery is the first target of GuMiho. We have a few siege tanks sieging up on the high ground, and look how many Hellions he's going to lose to this tank as well. Beautiful positioning here by GuMiho.
Yep. He had to remake the sensor tower as well, which is something he really did not want to do. GuMiho going for a flank here. He's doing what people have needed to be doing with their bioplay forever, which is to add siege tanks into the mix.
And now Maru is about to crumble. He's already down to 127 supply against 160. He is losing units everywhere. Lost his refineries, lost the gas. Is able to clear the units of his opponent, but still the 3 siege tanks on the high ground going strong, taking down a lot of SCVs. And the economy of Maru is just in shatters.
It really is. He is looking really weak right now. That drop will get cleaned up. Helps even the supply deficit. He needs to deal with those tanks. With the Banshee here, though, he's actually going to be able to do so much. The Marauders stim, but that's not going to be very helpful against the Banshee. He needs to take out the tanks on the high ground, though. He's going to siege up now. Scans, takes some of them out with Hellions, but in the meantime, GuMiho decides not to engage. Even though his opponent was shooting at tanks in the opposite direction, he decides, I can't win this fight right now. Not yet, not until I get all my forces together. He's recollecting right now. You can see the supply is, of course, in his favor, but his income is also in his favor.
Especially gas.
Yeah, the gas is so important here. Look at the gas, actually, in fact, for GuMiho. He has so much he can't even spend it all.
Yeah, he has 1,100 banked up. And this is also because he just kills the refineries of Maru over and over and over again. And now Maru trying to get 2 additional refineries. He has to get additional gas, but we already have a 5th base coming up here for GuMiho. Spotted by Maru, but still a very nice position for GuMiho to be in.
GuMiho is going to try to engage here. He has both the armies split up. He wants to try to go for one of the weaker ones. It's going to be so difficult to do, though, with this air control. He's actually going to lose his medevacs. Nice positioning on the Vikings by Maru. Going to lose his Hellions over here. The command center will be able to land. Now, I wonder if he saw the second command center there, because 2 of those bases getting up would be out of control.
The Banshee actually at this point needs 4 shots to take down 1 Marines, as the +3 upgrades for armor are done and combat shield as well.
Yeah, the Banshee not going to be too useful against the composition of GuMiho. Good to help defend the backdoor siege ups, but otherwise not that useful. GuMiho trying to get into perfect position here. He wants to play this so patiently because he knows he's ahead in the economy.
Look at his money.
Yep.
1,000 gas and minerals banked up. He's in a beautiful position here. And here comes the Ghost Academy.
He's going to start using nukes to reposition his opponent's army.
He's already getting a 6th base now. To the bottom left, he has another command center in position.
Even though his opponent has air control, he's not using it to his advantage because he's so scared he's going to get caught unsieged at any moment. I'd like to see him push another sensor tower out so he can try to regain control of that watchtower, or at the very least try to make a dropship, try to do Blue Flame Hellion run by something, because where he is right now is a tough spot. A scan does see this army, and he's so scared. Oh, it has begun. The mule drops on top of siege tanks for GuMiho. He thinks he's that ahead in economy, he can afford to do that. And he will eventually start to damage his opponent. We're missing it again up at the top. He's actually dropping mules, forcing unsieges.
And we have another drop to the left side. Did you just mention that?
No.
Okay. Yeah, there it is.
But yeah, this is what I mentioned he needed to be doing, and he is finally doing it. Mobius Reactor research first. He may try to EMP the Ravens. Of course, that's not going to be the most important role for these ghosts. I think he'll use nukes to reposition his opponent's army.
Look how many command centers he's now getting. He's getting additional 2 command centers. He wants orbitals. He will get rid of some of his SCVs, and he has 3 Ghost Academies on the way right now. 1 nuke is not enough, but this drop will do a lot of damage as there are no units to defend this base.
Yep, and I feel like in some ways GuMiho has kind of overextended himself with his units in the middle of the map. Now he's going to pick up. He could go to the left side where there are a lot of SCVs. He's going to go to the right. He scouts all the Ghost Academies, which is not going to be something he can deal with easily. And during this, a positional battle ongoing, but exactly what I said, he forces the units back. Now he controls the Watchtower, and the Watchtower is so key when you're the one who's going back. Picks up the Hellion series to continue that harassment.
I really like the way that he harasses with the Blue Flame Hellions. It's basically that he saw an Antigua. Oh, look, Blue Flame Hellions. That's actually a really cool idea. I could do this.
Yeah, and he's going to catch a huge chunk of GuMiho's army right now, but every supply he kills, GuMiho can replace instantly with all the money he has.
He has so many orbitals right now, so many mules that he can call down whenever he wants to. His economy is just brilliant. And at this point, it's so hard for Maru. But still, Maru is maxed now.
He's going to lose a lot of SCVs at his 3rd base, though. May even lose the command center itself.
He's going to lose it. But he is moving out, and GuMiho is dropping in supply. He's down to 130 now against 160. The army for Maru is really strong, and he's on the move. He tries to carry this momentum into the main base of his opponent, and he might just be able to do it.
This is why mech is better than bio in most cases. If you can control the game, you get so ahead. These ghosts no longer useful. And GuMiho may have wasted a lot of his resources on those. Maru actually winning some fights in the middle with tanks as well.
And he's shutting down, he's going to shut down the production of his opponent. He's sieging up in range of the barracks. He's getting into the main base right now. This is really difficult for GuMiho. He's down to 110 against 156
Look
supply.
at the Ravens. He cannot use Marauders to fight this.
Look at his production tab. We have 5 starports coming up. He's attacking now. He's switching.
Yeah, he's got to try to catch up in air. If his opponent doesn't find those starports, he might be able to catch up, but only time will tell. 5 starports in production in total, and Maru patiently killing these production facilities. Again, we're going to have another attack. Maru needs to keep some of his siege tanks sieged up at home. It's hard to say if he does have any over there. He's got a total of 20 siege tanks now. And it looks like he's got some, but they're not in position.
And Wolf, there's another problem coming up. We only have 26 SCVs left for... Sorry, we have 44 left for GuMiho. He has still a decent income, but look at his minerals. He has 1,100. Will he be able to really get production in all these 5 star pods? I actually doubt a little bit, given how fast Maru is taking down base after base after base.
Well, he needs to be careful about how he engages these siege tanks, though. A huge mistake by Maru, losing a lot, and he is going to kill some SCVs, but not worth it there. Needs to actually circumvent this force. GuMiho, with all that money, like you were mentioning, is barely going to be able to outproduce his opponent in Vikings, it looks like. But remember, with those Ravens, they don't just work for Marauders, they also work for Viking battles.
And the one thing that is really important is that GuMiho was just able to stop the attack of Maru with the sieged up tanks at the fort, but now Maru is trying to just run past these defenses and attack the rest of the bases of GuMiho. Maru nearly doesn't have any mining left. I don't think he has any minerals. He's trying to take a 4th base, but this is not going to be so difficult for him. GuMiho has to make sure that he survives a little bit longer. Maru is completely reliant on his force.
He's losing his Vikings right away. Point defense drones going down.
God.
Maybe a few too many point defense drones, but he is so secure now. And to be honest, Caldor, I think we may be at checkmate now because Maru is totally outpositioned his opponent. He's killing all the SCVs and all of the last production. And
Look at the minerals of GuMiho. He has so much, but he can't do anything with it.
GG.
He can't spend it. He loses the match. He doesn't have any production buildings left. Maru, GuMiho had Maru on the ropes. Maru with no income whatsoever. GuMiho with more bases than he could handle. And then all these Blue Flame Hellion drops. But suddenly this huge army for Maru moves out. He gets position. He takes down the army of GuMiho. Gets momentum. Carries it into the main base of the FXO Terran player. Kills the production buildings. And then GuMiho just did not have the time to rebuild.
He was a master strategist, man. From there, he knew I have one way to win, and that is to max out mech against maxed out bio. You may have 3-3 upgrades on your bio, but I have 3-3 upgrades on my mech. My Hellions can defend your army. You think my army is immobile, but with the amount of Hellions I have, Hellions are pretty fast, and when there's 3-3 upgrades, I can defend drops with them, I can do whatever I want. And when it was max against max, he outpositioned his opponent, he caught groups of bio and killed it with his Hellions. He actually used the mobility of Hellions with mech to trap parts of his opponent's army. He bullied a bio army with unsieged tanks and Hellions in the middle of the map. That just simply does not happen in this type of situation, but he did it. He knew exactly how to outposition his opponent, and when it was max against max with even upgrades, he outpositioned him at the very end when it mattered. And even though he had no economy, all he needed was that maxed army to win the game, and things got out of control from there.
Yeah.
Great decision-making from Maru. Like I said just a moment ago, this guy clearly is a master strategist. He knows exactly what's going on in that game.
It was brilliant play. He knew that he had this one chance, and he used it, took down the production, and GuMiho, even though he had the better economy, could not make use of it. And this is going to be the 3rd game, ladies and gentlemen. We have a 3rd map in this first best of 3 of the day here at Codas. We have Maru Prime once again up against FXO GuMiho. TBT on Daybreak, which is going to be our next map here at the GSL Codas with Caldor and Wolf.